The story begins in a place which looked all gloomy and dangerous with multiple thugs running around, and a man in a hoodie was walking past them while they were playfully fighting with each other. The boy was having something in his hand inside a black plastic bag, and we come to know that this was a studio district, which is loud and filthy, day in and day out, and tucked away inside was the boy's tiny 180-square-foot rooftop home. It is then that we are introduced to our boy, Bong, who took off the cap of his hoodie, and was disappointed that he will have to eat ramen again for dinner tonight. Bong was a 25-year-old unemployed loser who was now juggling 3 part-time jobs, at a convenience store, then a barbecue joint, and in the morning doing day labor as much as he can. But as Bong was cooking ramen, we come to know that even after he worked like a dog, he can never save money. And the reason is simple, and that is a debt that he will have to pay off no matter how miserably he will have to do it. As the boy had no special skills and just a working body, so there's no bright future waiting for him. But you have a future full of these interesting stories as we're getting closer to 100K subscribers. And I know that you are awesome and you will hit the subscribe button as it will greatly help the channel. And you will enjoy more such stories, so thank you and keep watching. Bong was constantly just eating ramen and trying to enjoy the bland taste which is written in a mediocre bottom feeder's life. But just then something else happened that was not at all mediocre. Bong awakened a system. And he overloaded his brain so much that he did not pay attention about how hot the ramen was and burned his mouth, knowing that the system had scared the shit out of him. The boy wondered about how he could be awakened, because awakening was called as a blessing by some people, which was a chance to grab the jackpot and completely turn someone's life around, and maybe even better luck than winning the lottery. But here's the thing, people can only enjoy all the comfort if they are actually alive. Because entering the tower is insanely dangerous, as people can get torn apart by a monster, or die freezing or burning in extreme climates, or even die from mild poisoning, or worst of all, they can fall into a trap and get crushed to death, not even getting a chance to scream. These were various ways to die a dog's death at the tower by our boy Bong. And our boy had such a personality that even when he sees injustice, he generally turns a blind eye, acting that he is on a phone to avoid it. He tries to avoid dangerous situations at all costs and never walk under construction sites, becoming a bottom feeder and nobody, and that too for 25 years straight. But an awakening at such an age, it was shocking, and he wondered if he just dozed off because he was tired. But as the boy screamed for opening the status window, it really opened. And we come to know that Bong was affiliated with a black tower and was a level 1 summoner, who can have 1 summon at a time. At level 1, he can do a targeted summon or a random summon, and can enter the tower once daily. After reading that, Bong realized that it is not a dream, continuously shaking his hands inside and out of the status window, wondering if what he was seeing was an illusion. We come to know that the awakened people are granted an ability that is known as a trait, and the types of traits range from swordsmanship to healing and many in between. And one of them included summoning, which involves summoning spirits, phantom beasts, golems, demonic beasts, and various other creatures, because it is generally known as the ability to command specific types of sub-end creatures. The boy wondered about what kind of summoner he will be. And he was even getting a bit happy, thinking that as he is now a summoner, he should cast a skill with some flair. He did a hero pose that he knew and screamed, "Summon!" But after doing it 2 or 3 times, he realized that he was a dummy because the powers of an awakened individual does not work outside the tower, and they are only valid inside and cannot be manifested in the outside world, aside from checking the system's status window. That meant that a player is no different from an ordinary civilian while they are outside the tower. Bong was feeling really stupid, because anyone with an internet connection knows about it. But suddenly, to Bong's surprise, and to ours too, the skill initiated and a random summon was picked. This shocked the boy as he wondered about how his awakening was defying all laws. As the boy turned around, he saw that a purple glow was swirling around a body which was forming slowly, and after the summon was complete, a full-blown human was summoned with the clothing of an assassin. Looking at that, the boy made a weird face, wondering about why it was working and how he can summon humans. He looked at the man who he had summoned, wondering about if it was successful and if he was still in a delusion, because his skill was not just a normal summon like a spirit or a golem, but a human instead. And that human was looking perfectly fine as he smelled the delicious smell of ramen and wondered if he can have just 1 bite of it. Bong agreed, knowing that there was no harm, But he wondered if the man was a type who tells other people that he will have only one bite and then eats the whole thing. Meanwhile, the man was enjoying ramen like he had never eaten it before in his life, wondering about if they have released a new spicy flavor even when the flavor was only mild udon. But he shifted his focus once again, wondering about how his skill activated successfully outside the tower, and how he got a human summon when he had never heard of a thing before. Bong opened the status window, and finally, it told him that his trait summons humans and demi-humans, and the summonable range is from rare to legend, including super rare and special super rare. And as they are humans or demi-humans, seamless communication is possible between the summoner and the summoned unit in all situations. Bong remembered a gacha game that he used to play, wondering if it was based on luck, if he will hit a jackpot. But suddenly the system told him that the summoned person was bound by the 3 mandates that the summoned shall protect the summoner's life above all else and summoned, shall obey the summoner's commands absolutely. But if there's an event of conflict between the first and the second rule, then the first rule takes precedence. Bong realized that this meant that the summoned would follow absolute obedience. But now Bong asked the real question, wondering about who exactly the human he summoned is. And then the system notification told him that the man he summoned was the cruel girl's insane assassin, John Wick, of super rare type, with a manifestation limit of 6 hours and cooldown of 3 hours applied after dismissal. John Wick was the cruel assassin guild's biggest headache, a complete lunatic that he turned into once his dog was kidnapped. However, this John Wick's mission success rate was 99%, and he even succeeded in assassinating a 5th Circle Dark Mage. But his final moments were not so good. Suddenly Bong was feeling intense headache from all this information dump, but then it was as if he was falling into a void and going inside a memory from the upside down, looking at John Wick, who was running with an innocent look on his face, while he started assassinating everyone by beheading them and with flawless precision. But then John Wick did something diabolical. He took out a ribbon and started gift-wrapping the heads of the beheaded individual. And Bong was shivering after looking at that, wondering if John Wick was really a psycho who was preparing presents for someone. But just then, John turned towards a huge-looking mansion, while the system told Bong that his end was the result of a single failure of the assassination target, who was the Empire's strongest sword master, Idol. Due to it, before John can even react, he was slashed in 2 halves by that sword master, making it his final memory. But suddenly in the present, John Wick appeared behind the boy, wondering about what he was thinking. This scared the shit out of Bong as he fell down on the ground and started crawling around. But John Wick tried to calm him down, telling him that he just wanted to ask if Bong had any orders for him. Even when Bong tried not to be scared, because he knew that a summon should follow absolute obedience to someone else's commands, but he was still hesitant after knowing the past. But still Bong decided to test out his theory, building up the courage and telling Mr. Wick to clean away the ramen pot and to wipe the table too. And the man was doing everything which was told to him. Bong was surprised about how fast John Wick actually was, and was doing everything without a single complaint. But then Bong had a crazy idea, and he asked John if any kind of absurd requests were out of the question. But John told him that he will obey the summoner's words unconditionally without any problem. And hearing that, Bong instantly told John to bark for him like a dog. This made John Wick serious as he left the cloth onto the table which he was wiping. And now Bong was shivering, wondering if he really did cross the line because he was a powerhouse in his past life, and his pride must be immense, wondering about what will happen if John suddenly snaps. But to his surprise, John did not even raise a question and started barking like a dog, and that too, a smiling one. Now Bong realized that the skill he had got was actually absolute obedience. But suddenly someone started vigorously slamming the door, and Bong wondered about who they were. And the man on the outside wondered if Bong was inside the house or not, threatening him to open the door. We come to know that Bong had completely forgot that today was the day that the interest was due. And Bong told Mr. John to get up and hurry. We come to know that the boy had borrowed 10 million as no bank would lend him a loan. So out of depression, he went to a loan shark because his father had slipped on ice and fractured his hip, so he needed money for his surgery, plus his little brother's college tuition had to go on. So he had no other choice. And even when Bong thought that he could pay it back quickly, but the principal remains untouched, and he have already paid back over 5 million just in interest. Honestly, even Bong knew that what he did was a stupid move. But as there was no way, he did not know about what else he was supposed to do, because even if he went back, he would have made the same choice. Now the person outside the door just wanted to see the face of Bong as he needed to check if the boy was doing okay. But Bong turned towards John, calling him, and he saw that John was already ready with a frantic smile on his face, wanting Bong to just give him the order so that he can sever the heads of these bastards and bring it to Bong. But the boy immediately denied, knowing that John is going to cause a disaster. He ordered the man to hide in the bathroom and not move a muscle, along with keeping his mouth shut and not making a sound. John Wick wondered if he can even breathe, and Bong replied with a yes. And hearing that, the man was a bit relieved. And as he opened the door, we see a weird-looking loan shark who had multiple golden teeth and a heavy gold chain, wondering about why Bong was looking so healthy but was still late on the interest payment. Bong told them that he forgot and apologized, along with the transfer of the little money that he had. But now the bully told Bong that if it is getting tough, he should not force himself, because he had pretty healthy-looking organs and life gets a whole lot easier with just one kidney. Even outside, there were some thugs who told their boss that Bong had a little brother, and for the loan shark, even the little brother works because the younger they are, the more it is easy to mold them. But hearing the mention of his younger brother, now Bong was getting angry. But the loan shark wondered about why the boy was giving him such an arrogant look, wondering if he wanted to take a swing at the man. But the boy calmed down, knowing that he can never do that to the loan shark as it would cause more problems. Looking at this wimpy behavior, the loan shark intimidated the boy, telling him that unless he wanted to die without a soul ever knowing, he should just keep himself in check. But as the people got away, Mr. John came back, and Bong was surprised that the man had really stayed perfectly hidden and quiet, and John had to do so because it was his master's command. The boy realized that he was suddenly so tired, with double shifts at work, and awakening a human summon and a visit from the loan sharks to top it off. Now the boy wondered if he should really just try climbing the tower due to fulfilling the debt. But still Bong was aware, and he knew that money is great, but there's no way that a coward like him could survive climbing the tower. Suddenly, John came behind the boy and turned towards him, asking him about what he should do now. But Bong asked the summon instead if he wanted to do something, because if John wants to, then the boy can dismiss the summon, and he can go away. But John happily asked if he can watch some TV, because he liked some shows about various dogs that he had not watched after his demise. Even when Bong had no idea about what taste did John Wick had, but he told the summon to go ahead and do anything he liked. Hearing this, John thanked Bong and started watching various TV shows about cute little dogs, while we see that Bong was sleeping as he was slowly succumbing to his sleep. Bong thought that even when John was a summoned being, feeling someone else's presence nearby was not so bad, and it actually felt kind of comforting, because right until now, Bong had been working alone, so this new feeling of having someone was really warm. But as the scene shifts, we see that it was already the morning and it was 8:00, and the boy silenced the alarm as he got up and saw that the computer was still turned on, wondering if the summon release for Mr. John had already happened. And because John was nowhere to be found, he knew that 6 hours must have passed away, since the man had the manifestation limit. He had also remembered seeing the system window in his sleep, where it was told that John Wick has been released. But anyway, the boy knew that awakening happened or not, he should get ready for work. But suddenly, on the live news channel running on his PC, it was announced that early in the morning at the office of an illegal loan shark firm named Smile Cash, a gruesome murder had took place. Bong was shocked as he was brushing his teeth, wondering about if he had heard the name Smile Cash before. It was announced that 3 victims were found, all of them beheaded, and shockingly, the fact that the victims' heads were found wrapped in red ribbons. It was shocking even to the investigators. But Bong knew what had actually happened, knowing that it must have been the work of John Wick. And now the boy was turning pale from fear, wondering if it was really okay for him to think that John Wick was comforting, because he had summoned a total psychopathic killer. As the scene shifts, we see that the boy had read multiple articles about how the illegal loan shark owner was killed, with their heads being wrapped by red ribbons. The boy thought that his future is ruined because looking at all the pictures again, it is certain that it was definitely the work of John Wick. But we see that the boy was working and was actually looking at the article on his phone. And as he turned around, he saw the head of the loan shark and his zombie-like body wanting to calculate the price of the head. This scared the shit out of the boy as he got frightened and slammed himself onto cabinets, scattering all those supplies around. And then he came back into his senses as he saw that there was a cute little lady wondering about if our boy was actually okay. Bong apologized to the lady, billing everything that she had brought. And as he got off work at the convenience store, he knew that he cannot work in this state, so he decided to take a break from all the part-time jobs on the next day. But we see that on a serious note, Bong was actually shocked, wondering if those people dying were because of him and if he was responsible for the killing. As the scene shifts, we see that it was snowing heavily in the winters, and the boy was still in his shitty one-room apartment reading the catalog about the crazy assassin John Wick, knowing that even when John would not harm Bong, but it was still a bit scary. He decided to summon John anyway, and as he used the command, the system notification popped up telling him that before designated summon, he should leave the satisfaction rating between 1 to 5 stars. Now hearing this, the boy showed a middle finger straight into the status window, telling the system that even when he told John to watch TV, but he went and committed the killings that he did not even order. So he wanted to give him 1 star for being insolent. But the boy started thinking once again, knowing that he cannot be that heartless, giving John the satisfaction rating of 3 stars. We come to know that Bong's mother's job was of a rental water purifier coordinator, and it is very heartbreaking for her if someone gives a low satisfaction rating. So even if Bong had complaints, there is no 1 star to anyone because this 1 star rating is for the beta males. After the rating was finished, John was summoned once again, saluting to his master and being glad to see him again, thanking the boy again and again for giving him 3 stars, promising him to try even harder next time. Bong looked at John, who looked so innocent that even the boy was confused, wondering if this was the same person who did the killings. And Bong decided to clear all the misunderstandings, questioning John if he had assassinated those men who came to his house yesterday. And without any change in expression, John laughed and told the boy that he took care of them last night just before being unsummoned. Bong was shocked, wondering about how John was explaining it so calmly, knowing that in front of his eyes was a psychopathic assassin. And suddenly Bong's stomach started churning and his heart was racing. He decided to calm down, knowing that at least John was not going to harm him, and asked the man about how he knew about where they were when he did not know them personally. But we see that as John was inside the washroom, he planted a mark of pursuit when those bastards barged into Bong's house, so he came to know where they all were. Bong wondered if this was some kind of a skill and asked John about why he got that far. But the boy was calmly replied to that these people were a threat factor, so John thought that it is better to deal with them in advance. Bong was annoyed, angrily telling John that he did not even order to do it. But John firmly replied that it is because of the 3 laws of the summoned, and he used Article 3 to do it. That law of 1 is always prioritized. That means that the summoned would protect the summoner's life as the top priority, and absolute obedience can be ignored when the summoner's life is in danger. And that meant that even if Bong would tell John to kill the boy itself, then he would disobey. But Bong knew that there was no actual threat, and what John did was just an arbitrary judgment. But according to the man, Article 3 can be interpreted broadly, and in his view, those loan sharks were risk factors that would inevitably threaten someone's life someday. And this was a very reasonable judgment. Even when Bong knew that it was a psychotic mindset, he felt weird to say it in front of John himself. Even when John insisted that it was fine because he had heard such words often. And even Bong knew that it's not like he does not understand. But this can be extremely dangerous because if Bong would even walk down a crowded street with John and accidentally bumped shoulders with someone looking like a thug, then the person would get angry and definitely want to threaten someone like Bong. And usually they don't actually mean to harm, but according to John's interpretation, the head would already be gift-wrapped. And Bong knew that this could happen so well because John was a complete psycho. But then the man knelt down immediately, telling Bong that he was wrong. And even Bong wondered about why he was kneeling. But Bong decided to teach John instead that killing for his sake was not good, and rather it could get Bong into a difficult situation. But the assassin was sure that no one will know. And even when Bong wanted a promise from John to never do it again, the assassin cannot guarantee that, and he was clear with it. Ultimately, the conversation ended when John promised to judge the situation well afterwards. And as Bong saw that the answer was energetic, he decided that John should go back for now. But John wondered if Bong was not going to climb the tower because it is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. But still, John was dead scared from the monsters that may come because it was dangerous, and the boy could die. Bong wondered if there was another summoner who can summon humans like him, and John told him that there was one, and he was a truly strong and brave person. Hearing that, Bong was ashamed that someone was using their awakening ability to save the world while he was doing nothing, because he did not have the courage to risk his life. But John started saying seriously that Summoner Bong is truly. And then he anticlimactically started smiling, telling the boy that he was truly the best summoner. Even surprising Bong, who wondered about how it was possible. But according to John, the greatest virtue for a summoner was safety first, because being brave is poison, and a brave summoner on that is dangerous because people never know when they will be defeated. And if they are not alive, then the summons cannot come out either, and it would be like a trap to them. Now Bong knew the thinking about John. And John promised Bong to not worry, because he was ready to do all the dirty work so that the summoner can just keep playing it safe and live to a ripe old age, and then have a natural death. As the scene shifts, we see that the boy had slept fitfully because he was continuously worrying about whether he should climb the tower or not. But he was still not convinced, thinking that tower climbing was not for someone like him, and that he should just live gratefully that the debt disappeared along with the debt collectors, deciding to just do safe and ordinary work for the time being, knowing that if he lived diligently then everything will get better eventually. But suddenly the phone of our boy started ringing, and it was the call of his father. Hearing that, Bong asked him if he was doing his rehabilitation well, and the boy came to know that his father had to be moved to a bigger hospital. And if this was not enough, then his mom was also getting fired. But after telling the boy all that, the father told him to not worry too much because he had called because Bong had not contacted them for a while. The boy promised his dad that he will make time to visit soon, and then they should eat together, and his father should not overwork himself. After hanging up the call, the boy knew that he had to do something. And as the scene shifts, we see that Bong was fully equipped with safety gear, with a metal bat and a traffic post as a shield. He decided to just go to the first floor, taking a peek for a moment and come out because if it is dangerous, he knew that he can just exit immediately. He knew that for him it worked out well because he was off from all his part-time jobs today. But first he decided to summon. And suddenly a thought came into his mind that he does not necessarily have to insist onto the crazy assassin, wondering if he can try something else, thinking that maybe a legendary special super rare rank will pop up in the next random summon. But his dreams were shattered as we come to know that random summon was unavailable for the next 28 days and 11 hours. The boy had saw the cooldown for the first time, and that too of a whole month. And eventually he had to summon John after giving him a 5-star rating, and for that the assassin thanked him again and again, ready to give him the orders. Bong wondered if John would know if he had tried to summon someone else, but the boy shifted the topic immediately, telling John that he had decided to enter the tower. And John thought that he was really brave, but John really did not like that. Calming the assassin down, Bong told him to not worry because he just plans to get a taste of it appropriately and get out. And hearing that, John reaffirmed himself once again that Bong was indeed wise to think like that. But the man immediately told the boy to throw away all those crude things and instead promised that he will become Summoner Bong's tool and a hunting dog, promising that John drives comfortably and safely. And once inside the tower, Bong would not need to lift a single finger. The boy agreed to it, and as the system wondered if Bong wanted to enter the tower on floor 1. And Bong was still having the helmet on while he asked the assassin, and then started the teleportation process as the system started using a wormhole to teleport them into the tower. The boy was scared shitless, wondering about what was going to happen to him as he goes to the first floor. As the scene shifts, we see that, through a warp tunnel, both John and Bong were getting slammed onto the first floor. And as the scene shifts, they have been teleported to the safe area of the first floor inside the Black Tower. And the boy realized that the first floor was a complete wasteland. But then Bong started feeling funny and started throwing up rainbow out of his mouth, while John wondered if the summoner was okay, telling him that he will get used to it soon. John decided to move beyond the safe zone, and behind him was Bong, who got prepared for any of the monsters who would surprise attack them. But as soon as they got out of the safe zone, the system told Bong that his physical abilities have been improved according to the level, and his characteristics and combat skills were also available for use. Bong was happy to feel what it feels like being a player, and even though he was a level 1 now, he felt quite strong. The first floor mission was to defeat tough-skinned fatty grubs within the time limit of 2 hours, and the failure condition of death or forfeiting the mission. John smiled and told the boy that those were the grubs he wanted to hunt. And even Bong had done his homework beforehand, as he knew that the first floor was a place to test one's skills, and the tough-skinned fatty grub was like a scarecrow concept, because its attack power was almost non-existent. But its skin is so tough that it is hard to kill easily. The boy had already checked the stats and knew that other players managed to catch one in about 30 minutes. And as he is a player now too, he gained a sudden burst of confidence and started going towards one of those monsters, ready to try catching just one of them. First, John wondered if the master needed to suffer unnecessarily, but as Bong was not stopping, he got in front of a lethargic-looking monster. And as he started taking out the weapon which he borrowed from John, the grub started getting up and was ready to attack him. And only by him getting up, Bong started acting like a wimp, screaming for John Wick to help him. And the man was ready for this moment, only telling the summoner that he took a wise decision. Instantly teleporting straight towards the monster and beheading it with only one strike, as John told Bong to stay back for a moment. Immediately hunting 4 more fat-skinned grubs without any mercy, as he got ready with throwable blades, throwing them and finishing them off. As the blades carried a large amount of dense energy which is concentrated, as the blade spears through the tough skin of the monster. John activated the skill of blade explosion, and the monsters exploded like fireworks in the air and were finally finished. Bong was shocked to see what he witnessed in front of him and was shocked to the core, wondering about how John was able to instantly kill these monsters that should take around 30 minutes per head. But the system told the boy that he had succeeded in the first floor mission and had leveled up with the reward of 100 grams of magic stone, along with achieving an S++ clear rank for the first floor of the Black Tower. And that reward would be a platinum badge. Bong was taking it easy for the first time, knowing that it was too easy and that he might become rich soon. And thinking that, the boy was on cloud 9. But what Bong did not know yet was that the same notification of S-Clear was shown to multiple players in the whole country, and every tower player in South Korea now knows about it. But coming back, the system told the boy that now he can challenge the second floor, and then he got teleported back into his room as he realized that he returned home immediately after clearing a floor. And then he was feeling funny once again, checking the phone and realizing that clearing the first floor only took him 5 minutes. And even John was surprised, complimenting him for doing a good work of doing nothing. Even Bong told him that he did not do anything and just stood still. But that is the right thing to do, and John was impressed of that, even when the boy knew that others barely finished when they are exhausted from beating grubs to death. But this was too simple, and only in 5 minutes he got a platinum badge and even magic stone, which was an important resource that is indispensable in the current industry. And even when the price of the magic stone had dropped significantly compared to the early days of the tower creation. But it was still 50,000 per 100 gram, and since 20 years have passed since the Black Tower appeared in countries all over the world, most ordinary people know the general common sense about the towers. But even the boy had never heard about a platinum badge, wondering about what it was. But as he had just earned 50,000, and in just 3 minutes, he is going to watch some shows now. And then he invited John Wick to eat together. This was a special meal which was pretty expensive. But as the boy had money now, he decided that they should celebrate. And John Wick wondered about what these expensive foods were, because he was smelling something really spicy. But Bong clarified that he had ordered regular food because John cannot handle to eat spicy food, knowing that John had 0 tolerance for it. Hearing that, the man was really happy, deciding to eat well and thanking Bong for giving him such expensive things to eat. But as the man started eating, Bong asked him if this was his usual way of speaking, too short in the endings and always be so formal. But John told him that this was not his usual way. But as he hung out with his previous summoner for a long time, he took this habit from him. Bong smiled, knowing that it was something of an ex-boyfriend's influence, which changed into an ex-summoner influence in this case. But John wondered if this was comfortable, ready to fix it. But Bong was enjoying it because it was fun hearing it. And now the boy had become certain that with John and him together, nothing was dangerous at all now, and climbing the tower was definitely doable. As the scene shifts to the next morning, we see that the boy was looking at an alpha male's daily routine he had made a chart of. Convenience store during the day, charcoal grill restaurant at night, and then he decided not to do the day labor part-time job he was doing in between, and instead coming home and tower clearing with John Wick, which would make a perfect plan. As the scene shifts, we see that the boy had summoned John Wick once again, giving him 5 stars. and even the assassin wondered about what he was doing to get instant 5 stars again and again. And Bong told him that if he could, he would give 10 points too. And John was glad that the summoner was satisfied. But the boy wondered if the satisfaction rating was that important. It is then that John explained that the better the rating would be, the more benefits that John would get. For example, the manifestation time, the rank increase, and needless to say, the chance to receive calls increases. Knowing that, Bong decided to keep it in mind and entered the second floor of the Black Tower. And the second floor mission was to defeat 10 quick-witted fatty grubs within the time limit of 2 hours. And this time these grubs were a bit tricky because they were moving around here and there with an insane speed that was even faster than Bong would have thought. The boy wondered about what he should do on the second floor. But John told him that he would not have to think about that at all, promising him that he would be able to hunt 10 of them within 3 minutes without much efforts. John jumped and promised him to finish it quickly and send the boy home. And meanwhile Bong thought about if they should eat chicken today. The man heard about chicken and thanked the boy for it as he started using his energy explosions to completely defeat these monsters. And just within 3 minutes, he got a notification that he had succeeded in the second floor mission and had leveled up along with getting 200 grams of magic stone, and also getting the S-clear rank for the second floor too, along with another platinum badge. The boy wondered if it is allowed to be this easy because it is now fast, and now he can even go in and out before going to his morning part-time job. The boy decided to not stop, immediately going to the third floor mission, which was to defeat 10 ice-cold fatty grubs. And now John noticed that Bong's landing had improved. And after he succeeded in the third floor mission with a bang and a lot of explosions, he got 300 grams of magic stone along with a platinum badge, and the same clear reward back to back. The boy was succeeding in multiple floor missions while he clapped hands with John, who was easily passing through all of it. The system finally told him that he had cleared up to the 5th floor of the tower and had now collected 5 platinum badges, and for that he had gained a special perk. The boy wondered about what the special perk was, and it was an awakening trait enhancement. And due to the special perk effect, now the boy can summon 2 humans or demi-humans simultaneously. The boy was surprised, knowing that with 2 simultaneous summons he can keep 1 more person with him. And when John Wick was already steamrolling everything along with S-clear reward, which was insanely good, this could turn into a long-term battle going forward, and he will be in a way safer hand. To use random summon again, there was a cooldown of more than 20 days left, so he decided to hold out carefully until then. The boy will have to hold out carefully, and then after 20 days, the 3 of them will be able to conquer the tower. But even better thing was that the boy will enjoy the free ride while those 2 people keep breaking through. The boy knew that tomorrow was another climb to the 6th floor, so he decided to keep pushing forward. Meanwhile, we come to Hanamdong inside the Awaken Management Administration building where a few people were sitting and a female was standing while reporting something. One of the men wondered about when it will rain today and whether it would be morning or evening or maybe late at the night. But suddenly, the female came insanely closer to the man, asking him if he was thinking about the announcement too. This shocked the man as he started screaming at the lady, calling her director Lee and telling her to stop trying to read people like that. But the lady was not able to help it when she is curious. We come to know that the man was named Wang, who was the team leader of the administration, and the female was named Lee Nina, who was the administration deputy director. Wang wondered if a new announcement got up. And the lady told him that it was indeed happening, and the 6th floor of the tower had S++ rank clear again. They summarized that the Black Tower's global announcement have been ringing repeatedly lately, and every single one contains a new S rank clear announcement. That meant that whatever was happening was done by only one person, because floors 1 through 5 were cleared in order and in 5 consecutive days. Wang thought that without a doubt, it was the work of the owner of unprecedented, overwhelming talent. And Wang wondered about what will happen if the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th floor were cleared with an S rank too. But suddenly another man slammed his hand onto the table, and he was a middle-aged man named Park, who was actually the director of the Awaken Management Administration, who wondered if both his subordinates knew that until now the highest record was of rank A, and people did not even know that higher ranks existed, or that an S-clear reward would be triggered with a global announcement. Because in today's international society, player naturalization is quite common, and there are even secret abductions happening behind the scenes. So the director was sure that before another country snatches this inhuman player away, they must find the player immediately. He ordered both the people to keep close watch on every newly registered player. And the scene shifts to 2 days later, where we see that John was washing dishes and doing all the house chores while Bong asked him if today was the 8th floor. The man smiled and confirmed, as Bong thought that they were clearing 1 floor a day without any trouble. But he knew that up to the 10th floor was basically the beginner's zone, so everything is going smoothly. As the scene shifts, we come back to the 8th floor, which was full of a wild and swampy jungle. And inside they will have to defeat 10 red-thorn frog warriors. And as one of the frog warriors attacked with his long tongue, John took out his sword and slashed even the frog's head without any mercy. And just in the nick of time, 10 of them were completed, and a 3-minute clear was imminent, as the system told him that he had also cleared the 8th floor mission, and had gained 800 grams of magic stones, along with 5 tower-exclusive healing potions, and getting another platinum badge awarded to them. As they came back to the room, John again complimented the boy for not doing anything and standing still like a good boy, because just entering the tower is the hardest part. Bong thanked John, telling him that it is thanks to him that they always clear everything so easily. But John told Bong to not let his guard down, because after the late 10th floors it won't be so easy. But the boy was happy to see that he did another 3 minutes clear today, wondering if he should give John a present for what he did. The boy took out his wallet and told him that, as he had plenty of manifestation time left, he should go out and have fun before going back and also eat something tasty without causing any trouble. But John immediately denied, and the boy wondered about why he was not able to do so. But John was insisting that he cannot leave the summoner's side. So he decided to just watch TV at home. But Bong wondered about how John can deny any order and if absolute obedience does not apply to this stuff. But not thinking about it too much, Bong wondered if they should order some chicken home instead. And John immediately agreed, deciding to order something good by himself which is not spicy, something like honey, cheese, butter, sweet, whatever. Meanwhile, the boy decided to check the rewards, which was including the tower-exclusive healing potions that should go back to John. And now Bong wondered about what he should do with these magic stones, because he had already got 3.6 kg in his inventory. And if he sell them, he is going to get about 1.8 million. Bong knew that he should seriously start thinking about cashing out. And as the scene shifts, we see that it was day 10 of climbing the Black Tower. And now he was approaching the 10th floor. And even Bong was surprised, because at first he thought that he would just dip his toes into the water. But he had been climbing 1 floor a day without missing a beat. And yesterday's 9th floor, which was the jungle man-eating corpse flower clear, was also easy, but easy for John and not him. Clearing missions was a given. But the clear rewards were just a bonus, which is so unbelievably sweet. Bong felt like giving a toast to John, as he had already forgot that he's a crazy psychopathic assassin. Bong immediately summoned John once again, and as he had given the 5-star rating to John back-to-back, his manifestation time was increased by 1 hour. And hearing that, the boy realized that it was totally worth giving the high score. And as soon as John was summoned, he paused and thanked the boy for giving 5 stars, because now he can support Bong for 1 more hour and was looking forward to working with him. And they entered the 10th floor of the Black Tower with the physical abilities enhanced to match their level. And now Bong was feeling a really great surge of energy inside him. And due to the recalibration of physical abilities inside the tower, he felt overwhelming strength and a mysterious mana stirring in his lower abdomen. It was as if he had become an untamable wild horse now, as he told John that from now on he will help too. Now Bong thought of him as not a human but a horse instead. But John put a condition that if the summoner gets even a scratch, he will have to smash his head into the ground. But the boy told John to not worry, because he is already a wild horse. John continuously told him that the summoner's encouragement and praise were more than enough, but the boy was not listening at all, knowing that this time he will absolutely have to fight together. But as he was saying so, he saw a huge eye looking at him. And as the monster got to a distance, John and Bong saw that it was a huge mantis, wondering about how such a huge monster was already at the 10th floor. And how did other players even kill something like this? He immediately told John while backing down that sending 2 people out to kill mere insects was hurting his human pride. John wondered about why killing insects was pride damaging, but Bong insisted that it's hurting his pride at all times. So as the mantis got ready to attack, The boy started cheering for John Wick as the man took out his assassination blades and started running towards the monster, cutting his limbs into multiple bite-sized pieces. While the system notification popped up that the boy has successfully completed the 10th floor mission and had gained 1 kg magic stones as a reward along with the S rank clear on the Black Tower, gaining the Platinum badge. As John landed while his swords were spinning into thin air, he was happy that the mission was complete. They finally exited the Black Tower and Bong calculated that now he had got another 1 kg of magic stones, bringing the total to 5.5 kg. And since he had already got a perk at 5 platinum badges now, he wondered about what he will get after accumulating 10 platinum badges. The system started loading, and Bong was excited as the system told him that he may copy one skill possessed by a summon entity. And it gave him the list of abilities that were possessed by John Wick, including Blade Explosion, Shock Break, While Ambush, Poison Dagger, Shadow Step, Disruption, Stealth, Invisibility, Polymorph, and many others. As Bong was reading every attack one by one, John heard it and suggested that he should, without any question or doubt, choose the Shadow Step skill, without even thinking about it. And upon being questioned, John answered that Shadow Step was convenient for running away because if something happens to Bong, he can move fast and quietly. Bong became serious, wondering about what John took him for and why he was suggesting for the boy to run away the moment he saw danger. But then we see that the boy is as much of a hypocrite as you all have thought, immediately choosing Shadow Step while being very serious, telling John that fast footwork was genuinely and seriously important in combat, that footwork was the life of a fight. The boy wondered if this skill would work in the real world too, but it did not work at all. And the boy slammed down onto the ground. He wondered about why only his summoning worked, while all the other skills were not working, and there was no consistency at all. But John was as always in a happy mood, telling Bong to not worry at all. As the scene shifts, we see that it was the day 11 of tower climbing, and the boy was having a phone call from the Awaken Management Administration call center. He introduced himself as Bong and told them that he had been awakened and wanted a test to determine his rank. The lady immediately congratulated the player, wondering if the support staff should visit his home or not. The boy gave his address, while being overwhelmed by the cheering voice of the receptionist. And as the phone call was cut, we see that Bong was completely drained because being an ordinary introvert citizen calling the Awakener administration and selling magic stones was the bravest decision in his 25 years of life. As the scene shifts, we see that from the Awakener Association, Lee Nina was going inside a sleek-looking car and Wang was also sitting in. They were returning from a house and were frustrated that they were not able to find the S++ clearer at all. Now Wang wondered if that person even existed. But as another awakening request came in today, the lady wondered if they should go. And Wang agreed because they had to run themselves ragged while they can. Because if they somehow find the S-ranked clearer, then he must bring them into the elite team, even if they will have to pour out the best benefits that the administration can offer. As the scene shifts, we see that Bong was cleaning his room properly as guests were visiting. And suddenly someone called out from outside, wondering if anyone was home. The boy got a bit nervous, deciding to open the door, and then two people came inside. They were none other than Wang and Lee Nina, and Bong invited them, knowing that the place was a bit small, but still letting them come in. The people introduced themselves, and as there was a woman too now, Bong was even more nervous. But just then, Nina did something that she always does, coming insanely close to Bong and telling him straight on the face that he was the one who was the S++ clearer. But Bong was immediately flustered, backing down because he had never had a female interaction in his whole 25 years of life. Bong wondered about how the lady knew about it, wondering if there was some way to tell who is awakened that he did not know about. He decided to just deny it for now while acting natural. But he was completely stone-faced and gave a robotic answer, telling the lady that he never have heard of that. The lady immediately realized that this was the classic lying signal. But Wang smacked onto the head of the lady, telling her again to stop probing people without any evidence. But the lady did not even care, telling the man that she would be more careful. Wang apologized for the rudeness of Lee, and Bong told him that it was fine, and finally realized that the lady was just fishing, trying to grab the correct person. But then again the scene shifts, and we see a cute little creature who was looking like the tower who was named Tabby as he was the mascot of the Black Tower. And people asked him if they wanted to learn about the tower. As it had an ominous shape and was pitch black like the night, and it was so huge that even the tallest building on Earth cannot compare, as this tower had appeared all over the world overnight 20 years ago. And countries sent their armies and scientists to uncover its secrets, but no one could even get close. It was like an invisible barrier that had blocked them, making physical approach impossible. So the question about what the tower was answered when players appeared, as they come to know that the tower was structured like a game so that they can climb one floor at a time. And players were just like ordinary people outside the tower, but inside they can use powerful abilities and skills. With the rewards they get in the tower, they upgrade their gear and contribute greatly to the global economy. But the strangest question was about what will happen if no one will climb the tower. And it was answered when the system told them that the black tower climbing in the country is falling behind. So the tower collapse countdown was now active, and the countdown will stop if any uncleared upper floor is successfully conquered. And if no new higher floor is cleared within 6 months, the countdown starts, and in the end the tower collapses. 3 years ago, that is how the Indian city of Mumbai disappeared due to the tower. And now as Korea started looking at their country stats, each nation has between 1 to 3 black towers. But South Korea only had 1, and they were lucky because it was located deep in the mountains of the Gangwon province. And the numbers of players are estimated to be 5,000 to 10,000, about 0.01 to 0.02% of the population. So there are not that many players. But even so, the Black Tower's conquest was going smoothly as even their 65th floor have been cleared, which was the second highest record in the world after America's floor 66, which resulted in various high-level players. And it was just like the past, where humanity had once pioneered new continents, and now they were exploring and learning about the Black Tower instead. And now, the mascot was doing the usual shit about how our boy was the hope of this era, and he should also register right now as an official player to be a hero too. We see that it was Wang who showed our boy all the mandatory viewing material, and Bong realized that this was just cringe, TED Talk-looking propaganda. But now Wang was ready to ask a few questions from our boy to verify some details, wondering if Bong was truly awakened. The boy replied that he had even entered the tower, and have done some clears too, and have got some magic crystals that he had collected so far. Then the man wondered about which floor the boy had reached last. And as soon as Bong answered with floor 10, their minds were having jolts of excitement as they wondered about if he is the same man as the person who had the S record. Lee was almost sure that the person was him, and she asked Bong if he had heard about the global notices that are such a hot topic lately. The boy decided to stay natural, but he gained the robotic posture once again, telling both the people that he had heard about the S-grade clears, telling them that whoever they were, they must be a pretty amazing player. But Wang told him that he does not have to be that tense. It is the first time that Bong had experienced excessive nervousness, which was making him very suspicious as he was sweating all over. The man decided to explain the contract options, telling the boy that the government divides players into 2 tracks, in which the first one was of the elite climbing team, and the second one was of the general climbing team. The general team players plan and run their own climbing schedule as a freelancer style of business. But the elite team, on the other hand, works much closely with the government's awakened management agency, and they have obligations to climb higher floors, but they also receive various supports and benefits. One of them is the personal protection outside the tower, because outside the tower players are no different from normal people. And also, if the boy is ready to join the elite team, then his base annual salary will be. Before the man can even reveal, we see that Bong was thinking that if the news came out that he's the one with the S record, then he will have all the media wrapping around him as they question our boy with silly things like if he had got no friends, and if he was a total wimp. And Bong despised being in the spotlight, which was the last thing he wanted. He did not even listen to what the salary was, and as the man was blabbering, he stopped and told him that he won't be applying for the elite team as he was satisfied with the general team. And Wang was shocked, wondering about why the boy was not taking the elite team when the conditions were much more flexible. The boy told them that honestly he had no talent and it is scary, so he is fine stopping at a reasonable floor and just taking reasonable rewards. The lady told him to not decide so quickly and think it over slowly, but Bong had already decided that he does not want the benefit. But the lady was sad, knowing that there are plenty of people who stop at a certain point and just farm safely for easy gains. But it is the first time she had seen someone say it that bluntly during screening, that the boy is a coward and don't want to climb, making him disqualified for the elite team. And the lady was sure that even if Bong volunteered for the elite team, he is exactly the type that they must never accept, because the most important virtue for the elite team is the will to climb. Wang decided to respect the decision of the player, and the boy thanked him. But then still the last step remained, as Wang wanted the boy to enter the tower from the home, because it was the last step they needed to confirm their awakening. The boy decided to do so, and Wang suggested that it would be a waste to throw away his one daily entry anyway, and he might as well do a clear while they were there. Bong was nervous after hearing this, knowing that the people were still probing and trying to confirm if the boy was the S-ranked clearer to the very end. So he told the people from the association that he will clear a floor while they were there, but he usually uses up almost the entire time limit. So it could take close to 2 hours. But the lady decided to wait because it was their job, and told the boy that he should not feel pressurized and take his time as they will be waiting. Bong immediately stood up and told the people that they should feel free to watch TV and help themselves to drinks from the fridge as he will be back. And the boy teleported inside the tower. And Wang was sure of one thing, that the boy was really awakened, wondering about what the female thought. That talent-wise she was unsure, but Bong was definitely extremely timid, and his way of talking and acting were both completely shrunk. The lady was sure that Bong is going to give up on floor 11, and Wang wondered about why the lady was thinking that. And the lady explained that she had cleared the floor 11th herself. And it is the floor where the test is of players' fear. Even Wang knew that they will have to defeat the long-tailed burrow centipedes, and they are not actually that hard to beat, but they look extremely disgusting, and people have to kill a full 100 of them. And she wondered if someone that scared really would be able to do it. And even Wang thought that it was possible because the lady was sure that Bong was going to retreat to the safe zone and abandon the mission. The man decided to call the director and tell him that it's another dead end this time. But inside the 11th floor, we see that the boy summoned John Wick once again via his targeted summon, and the assassin saluted the boy for calling him. This floor's mission was to defeat 100 long-tailed burrow centipedes within 3 hours, and the boy was disgusted by the centipedes and wondered about why he had to defeat 100 of them. But John was sure that he will not have to wait more than 5 minutes to clear 100 burrow centipedes. But this time Bong told John to hunt as slowly as possible and take at least an hour so that the S++ clear record does not show up, because the truth is that there are eyes watching from outside. And for that, they will have to even cancel the summon inside the tower today. John understood the intentions of our boy, and Bong realized that just entering should have been proof enough. But as he had agreed to a clear, he will break out of the S encirclement with a total mess of a record. We see that John was back in action, swinging his sword slowly as he cleared multiple centipedes. But the boy was telling John Wick to slow down even more and more as he was too fast. As the man's hunting pace became slower and slower, he decided to just run around for the time to pass and for everything to go slowly. But as the boy was jumping through the corpses of the centipedes, he slipped and fell down right into the middle of multiple centipedes. He knew that he needed to use a skill to run away. But his body was not moving, and looking at that, John triggered the first rule and decided to go immediately, slashing each and every centipede around the boy to protect him, wondering about how these disgusting centipede bastards were daring to harm his master. Even when Bong tried to tell John that he was going too fast, giving him an explicit order to slow down his tempo as much as possible, the man refused because Summoner Bong's life comes first. But the boy knew that now he was completely fudged up, because if the man is going to try that hard again, then the nightmare will come true. And the boy had received the notice of the S++ clear rating for floor 11, with the platinum badge being awarded. John apologized to the boy while they started teleporting back to their room as 5 minutes have passed. The lady thought that Bong should be giving up and coming out right about now. And just then they received the notification that the S clear rating for floor 11 have been done. And just then, our boy also teleported back to the place. And Wang wondered about what was going on. Even Lee was shocked that the notice had popped up almost exactly when player Bong appeared in front of them. But now Bong really wanted to clear all the evidence against him. So he was standing in front of the associates along with the assassin John Wick, knowing that these two people will have to be silenced so that they don't know the truth. Exactly. But even as Bong anticlimactically ordered John to tie them up immediately, John had already beheaded both of them. Looking at the heads, which were wrapped up in red ribbon, Bong screamed, crying as he asked John, who told him to cut their heads. Bong kept apologizing to the heads repeatedly, finding the experience traumatizing. Suddenly, Bong snapped back into reality. The two agents wondered what had happened to him and if he was okay, as he was suddenly breaking out in a cold sweat. Bong instinctively apologized once again and then gasped, realizing he was getting paranoid. Without realizing it, Bong finally told everyone that he was fine. Then the man, Wang, started explaining again that their elite team absolutely needed talent like him. But now, Bong was acting up like a robot once again, twitching all over, stammering that this is awkward, and suggesting that it must be a misunderstanding. He reasoned that his run on the 11th floor probably just overlapped with another player's, and how amazing it was that something so coincidental could happen. However, Wang was not convinced by Bong's words, thinking that the timing was a little too perfect. Bong thought he had done something wrong and in his nervousness told the officer he was innocent. He quickly corrected himself, realizing the people in front of him were not police officers, and told Wang that he was definitely not the one who cleared the dungeon. Wang wondered why Bong was so hell-bent on not accepting it. Even though Wang was getting annoyed by this, he decided to prepare the contract after listening to Bong's denial. Now Bong was shocked and turned pale once again because this was an elite contract when he had clearly asked for a standard contract. Wang told him that this was on a completely different level from the usual cases, because this was the only contract of its kind in the whole industry, the ultra-elite contract. It was for a special management target with an annual salary of $12 billion, plus real estate, VVIP protocol treatment, and full security detail. On top of that were immunity privileges, which meant Bong would essentially be above the law, practically making him a noble of the feudal era. At present, only one player, named Chio, ranked 1 in the whole country, received these benefits, which included every benefit the state could provide. However, Bong was too scared. He told Wang that he would not be a player unless it was a standard contract. Now even Wang wondered why Bong was rejecting it so strongly. Finally, Bong cracked up, telling the man that he does not like being in the spotlight and that if people pay attention to him, it feels burdensome. He remembered that even the receptionist who tried to help him or the salesman who tried to give him clothes had become stressful for him. When someone treated him a bit nicely, he would decide never to go back to that place again because his heart started feeling so heavy. In short, Bong was extremely introverted. Bong explained to the officials that climbing the tower was fun for now, but it was only up to the 11th floor and the future was uncertain, so he wasn't that confident either. So for now, it was better to step back. Even Wang realized this, knowing that the boy was a wimp, and immediately got ready to proceed with a standard contract. He knew that anyone watching would feel frustrated because the wimpy boy was still getting the standard contract and was going to climb while enjoying the benefits. But with an elite contract comes responsibility equal to the benefits people receive, and even if Bong were to want to stop, he couldn't stop the upper floor raids because those teams exist solely to clear unexplored upper floors. Bong wanted nothing to do with that kind of burden, as he was fine as long as his life became easier than before. As the scene shifts, we return to the Awakener's Management Bureau, where Park was getting infuriated with Wang because his report was wrong. Wang had called earlier and told him that the player was timid with no will to climb, which was correct. But Wang corrected himself, adding that Bong was also someone who had reached the S rank, even though Wang felt unnerved by Bong's disposition. Wang admitted that he wasn't able to fully understand Bong because he was surprisingly ordinary and almost painfully so. Park wondered if there was any chance that his subordinates had misjudged him, but Lee told him that it was impossible because the timing had matched far too perfectly. Park was even more infuriated. Being timid did not matter at all because Bong's talent was extraordinary, and Park wanted to bring him into the elite team no matter what. Now Wang understood his stern commands and decided to bring Bong into the elite team no matter what. As soon as Wang and Lee came back to the house, Bong denied their offer once again, trying to act genuinely angry. However, he wasn't acting this way in front of the officers, but instead in front of John, who had blown their cover, exposing everything. Bong tried to tell John that doing it one more time would get him nothing, and he'd be unsummoned immediately. After this fake display of anger, they entered the 12th floor of the Black Tower. The mission was to defeat 20 icicle spear weasels within a time limit of 3 hours. The scene shifts to a frozen area, and the weather was extremely cold. Bong told John to do this floor really gently and absolutely slowly. Bong was happy that John was answering properly and without hesitation, thinking to trust him this time, knowing that if he could clear the 12th floor normally, the agency would probably lose interest. But due to the cold, Bong was really freezing. Even though he prepared for it, it was colder than he expected, so he decided to endure a little. John told his summoner that he did not look well and wondered if he was all right. Even though it was bearable, John thought it was triggering Rule 1 once again, getting ready to finish as fast as possible and escort Bong to a warm room. Even when Bong tried to tell him that he should finish slowly and that he was fine, John increased his speed and started slashing the weasels, knowing that if this mission went long, Bong would catch a cold. And since a cold is an incurable disease, Summoner Bong's life was in danger. Bong tried to tell him again and again that he would have to follow absolute obedience, but before he could say it twice, the mission was completed, and he had received a platinum badge as a reward. As the scene shifts, we see that inside the car, both Lee and Wang were sitting down while asking Bong if he really just cleared the 12th floor. Once again, Bong tried to tell them that he did it easily, but the 13th floor might be more difficult. John was happy that the room was warm and that Bong would relax, deciding to watch some TV now. But he was immediately unsummoned by Bong, who was crying and wondering how John dared to try and watch TV when he had already told him that those who do not obey get nothing. They came to the 13th floor of the Black Tower, and this time Bong would have to pass through a corridor full of traps. John knew that this time there was really no helping it because there were so many variables and the summoner could get seriously hurt. Even when Bong told him to wait, John grabbed him and started running, deciding to destroy all the trap mechanisms on the floor so that they could get away, achieving another S-ranked clear and gaining the platinum badge. The scene shifts to the 14th floor where they had to defeat giant eyeball bats, but the sonic attacks were area-wide, so Bong was going to be hit too. John decided to deal with it before that happened, again achieving the S-ranked clear even on the 14th floor. By now, Bong was not even paying attention, thinking that whatever happens, happens. Bong received a $2 million deposit for standard player support, and then $2.75 million from the sale proceeds of magic stones. He calculated that the magic stones from floors 11 to 14 weighed around 5 kg, so another $2.5 million would be in his bank. He realized that he had earned over $7 million in just 14 days. If he could go to the 20th floor without trouble like this, the magic stone reward would be at least 2 kg. If the agency handled the sale, that was $1 million per day, no fees, no taxes, a pure daily wage of $1 million. Bong wondered what a life with a $30 million monthly income would be like, deciding to quit his part-time job for now. The next day, Bong called out to John, and John smacked onto the floor, thanking Bong for giving him a perfect score despite the grave crime of disobeying orders and committing insubordination, wondering where he should behead himself. But now Bong's mind had changed. He told John that from the 15th floor onward, he should clear comfortably, as Bong would not tell John to go slowly anymore. Bong wondered if this was really okay, having already realized that the agency knew everything. If the 15th floor would also be an S-ranked clear, that would be 15 platinum badges, so there was a high chance of receiving another perk without doing anything. Even Bong was starting to get greedy because the more he gained, the safer it got. Bong decided to enter the 15th floor, and even John got ready. On the 15th floor, he had to defeat 20 goblin workers who had been working there. But this was the first time that Bong was seeing humanoid monsters. There were fewer of them, but they were intelligent, and from this point on, even with sufficient information, clearing becomes troublesome. John told Bong that even if one escapes, it will bring the others because goblins are crafty, so Bong would have to hide especially well. John was sure that he was going to eliminate them in one go without much problem. He activated his stealth skill, becoming invisible, and Bong wondered if he would be able to learn that too. As the scene shifts, we see that slowly but surely, John was cutting each and every head of those wild creatures, and the goblins were getting defeated without even realizing it. They succeeded in the 15th floor mission, and Bong's level had increased with a magic stone reward of 1.5 kg and 5 tower-exclusive healing potions, along with getting the S-clear rank on the 15th floor, his 15th platinum badge. As they exited, Bong was smiling happily while wondering what he was going to get. But as soon as they arrived at the house, Bong was not getting dizzy. He immediately opened his inventory and took out 5 more platinum badges. The system told him that obviously he would be granted something for accumulating 15 platinum badges, and as it got triggered, Bong wondered what he was going to get, with excitement clearly visible on his face. The boy was definitely getting a little bit greedy.